Consider a thief who stole the jewels from your home and masquerades himself as a policeman. And then he goes to the police station and sits there as a chief of police. Now, if you go to him and ask him to find the thief who stole your jewels, what is he going to do then? Will you be ever able to get your stolen valuables? This is the same as asking your mind to get rid of itself. Hello friends, welcome to my channel All Things Spiritual. Today we will look at an important topic. Can the mind put an end to itself? Let's take a look at it in this video. Also, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel if you like the video. In a Hindu marriage function, the feasts often continue for 5 or 6 days. Think about a stranger who was mistaken for the best man by the bride's party, and they therefore treated him with special regard. Seeing him treated with special regard by the bride's party, the bridegroom's party also considered him to be a man of some importance related to the bride's party, and therefore they too showed him special respect. The stranger in the meantime had a gala time. He was also aware of it all along about the real situation. On the occasion, the groom's party wanted then to inquire about him at some point, and they asked the bride's party about him. Immediately they sensed trouble and the person escaped the scene. So it is the same with the ego. If it is looked for, it disappears. If not, it continues to be an uninvited guest in your life. What is this ego? Sri Ramana Maharishi says to inquire about it. The gross body is not alive by itself and it cannot say it is the I. The self, however, is the pure consciousness and it is non-dual. It cannot say I. Think about it for a moment. No one says I in their sleep. Where does the ego go at that point in time? So you see, it is something between the gross body and the self, and it has no parking spot where it can be located. If we try to go after it, it vanishes like a ghost. At night, a man may imagine that there is a ghost by his side because of the play of the shadows. If he looks closely, however, he discovers that the ghost is not really there, and what he just imagined it to be a ghost was merely a tree or a post. If he does not look closely, the ghost may terrify him. All that is required for him is to look closely and the ghost vanishes. The ghost was never there in the first place. So also is with the ego. It is an intangible link between the body and the pure consciousness. It is also not real. So long as one does not look closely at it, it continues to give us trouble. But when one looks for it, it is found not to be existing. On controlling the mind, it may first have to be sought after, and if at all that is possible, then you may be able to know what to do. But the fact is that the mind is just a bundle of thoughts. How could you extinguish it just by a thought of doing so or by a desire? Your thoughts and desires are a part and parcel of the mind itself. The mind is simply fattened by new thoughts rising up. Therefore, it is foolish to attempt to kill the mind by means of the mind. The only way of doing it is to find the source of it and to hold on to it. The mind will then fade away on its own accord. Yoga teaches control of the activities of the mind, or it's called as Chitra Vritti Nirodha. But Sri Ramana Maharishi says self-inquiry is the most practical way. Controlling of the activities of the mind is brought about in sleep or by fasting. As soon as the cause is withdrawn, there is a recession of thoughts in the mind. So control is useless and cannot be of lasting benefit. The following story illustrates the point where control may not be adequate. A yogi was doing his penance for a number of years on the banks of the Ganges. When he had attained a high degree of concentration, he believed that continuance in that stage for prolonged periods constituted liberation and practiced it. One day, before going to deep concentration, he felt thirsty and called to his disciple to bring a little drinking water from the Ganges. But before the disciple arrived with the water, he had gone into Yoga Nidra state and remained in that state for countless number of years, during which time much water flowed at the Ganges, and when he woke up from this experience, he immediately called out, "Water, water." But there was neither his disciple nor the Ganges in sight. The first thing which he asked for was water, because before going into deep concentration, the topmost layer of his thought, of his mind, was water, and by concentration, however deep and prolonged it might have been, he had only been able to temporarily lull his thoughts. When he regained his consciousness, this topmost thought flew up with all speed and force of breaking through his mind. If this is the case with regard to thought which took shape immediately before he sat for meditation, then there is no doubt that thoughts which took root earlier would also remain unannihilated. If the destruction of thoughts is liberation, can he be said to have attained salvation? The seekers rarely understand the difference between this temporarily stilling of the mind and the permanent destruction of thoughts. If there is temporary subsidence of thought waves, and though this temporary period may last for thousands of years, thoughts which are thus temporarily stilled rise up again as soon as the stillness ceases. One must therefore watch one's spiritual progress carefully. One must not allow oneself to be overtaken by such spells of stillness of thought. The moment one experiences this, one must revive consciousness and inquire within as to who it is and who experiences this stillness. While not allowing any thoughts to intrude, one must not at the same time be overtaken by this deep sleep or yoga nidra or self-hypnotism. Though this is a sign of progress towards your spiritual goal, yet it is also the point where divergence between the road to liberation and yoga nidra takes place. The easy way, the direct way, therefore, is the inquiry method. By such an inquiry, you will drive the thought force deeper till it reaches to its source and then merges therein. It is then that you will have the response from within and find that you rest there, destroying all of your thoughts once and for all. So there is a basic question. In turning the mind inwards, are we not still employing the mind? To which Sri Ramana Maharishi says that of course we are employing the mind. It is a well-known and admitted fact that only with the help of the mind can the mind be killed. But instead of setting about saying there is a mind and I want to kill it, you begin to seek the source of the mind and you will find that the mind does not exist at all. The mind turned outwards results in thoughts and objects. Turned inwards, then it becomes itself, which is the self. The degree of the absence of thoughts is a measure of your progress towards self-realization. But self-realization itself does not admit of the progress. It is ever always the same. The self always remains in realization. The obstacles are our thoughts. Progress is measured by the degree of the removal of such obstacles to understanding that the self is always realized. So thoughts must be checked by seeking to whom they arise. So you go to their source where they do not arise. But isn't it funny that the I should be searching for the I? Does not the inquiry who am I turn out to be in the end an empty formula? Or am I to put the question to myself endlessly, repeating it like some mantra? To which Sri Ramana Maharishi says, self-inquiry is certainly not an empty formula, and it is more than the repetition of any mantra. If the inquiry who am I were a mere mental question, it would not be of much value. The very purpose of self-inquiry is to focus the entire mind at its source. It is not therefore a case of the I searching for another I. Much less is self-inquiry an empty formula, for it involves an intense activity of the entire mind to keep it steadily pointed in self-awareness. How did you like the video on employing the mind to put an end to the mind? Please do let me know in the comment section below. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next week with a new video.